Thank you so much, Chris. Okay, so it's my honor to present this presentation to you this afternoon. It's a few words about me, and then we'll talk about what we hope will happen in the next hour. So I am the author of 2 books, Blockchain or Die and Blockchain or Die Harder. This is the most recent one. Blockchain or Die was 2019, Amazon #1 bestseller 7 times, 3 book awards. Blockchain or Die Harder went Amazon #1 in new release, and it's just out, so there's still a lot more happening with that book. I'm on a book tour right now. I'll be selling some books if anyone's interested today. And I'm a law professor at Purdue Global Law School. I teach contracts, and I have an emerging technology internship, partner with the Cogent Law Group. I'm a president of a company called Better Me, Better We. We're a global training and facilitation company. I've spoken in over 15 countries. And that pretty much covers it, right? That's pretty much what I do. But what I do like to do in these kinds of settings is have an interactive session. So I'm not going to just lecture you guys for a period of time. I want to have a discourse with you, right? So that's why I won't be behind the podium much. I'll be out here kind of closer to you, talking with you. So I'm going to have a couple questions to ask, and we can kind of go from there. Here's the first set of questions. I want to know who's in the room, right? If I know who's in the room, I can better tailor my thoughts, my comments, the Q&A, the interaction. So let's start with who in the room is a business owner? Raise your hand. All right, so that's most of the room. Gotcha. Who in the room are attorneys? No attorneys. Man, don't shake your head like that. Are any government officials in the room? Okay, we got a couple. All right. Any nonprofits? All right, we got it. Okay, that's probably number 2 after business owners. Any educators? Right? And by the way, you could be in more than one category, so don't feel like you raise your hand and that's it. You don't have to do any more, right? So we have a couple of educators. Any authors in the room? Right? So we got a co-author, 2 co-authors in the room, right? Welcome, co-authors. All right. Did I miss students? Any students in the room? All right, we got a couple of students. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss any categories that you think are really important to bring up in this setting? No? All right. So now I know who's in the room. It's a pretty even mix, but the heaviest are business owners and nonprofits. So next question, how many of you guys have a blockchain idea, company, or enterprise solution you're creating? Raise your hand. Okay, so a good number there as well. How many of you have it with a crypto? Raise your hand. With a crypto. So your blockchain enterprise solution has a crypto associated with it that you're going to put it on a cryptocurrency exchange. Okay, so 2, 3. How many of you? 4. Well, but so good point. But if you want your crypto to sell, that's probably the best way to do it, right? I mean, a crypto, and I'm not going to dive into this in this session, but it could be a reward token, utility token. I get it. But a crypto associated with it, I saw about 4 hands go up. How many of you have a blockchain that will not have a crypto associated with it? Raise your hand. Okay, so that's very telling, because right now the impression is you need to have a cryptocurrency to be able to fund your blockchain. That's not necessarily true, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that when I talk about the bystander part of this presentation. Now, how many of you have a white paper already out? Raise your hand. All right, cool, white papers. How many of you have one that's in development? Raise your hand. Okay, got one there. MVP. Okay, all right, good. So this class, this session, has a lot of folks that hit a lot of different areas. So hopefully you find this information helpful, because it's targeted to really kind of address a lot of the areas in the questions that I asked you that you provided answers to. So one of the reasons why I wrote Blockchain or Die Harder right after 7 years after Blockchain or Die is because since 2021, the market has changed dramatically, right? And you can tell by the graphic here, and between the 2017, 2021 timeframe, things are still a little chaotic, still a little, regulators are figuring things out, the courts are figuring things out. But now, in 2026, it's a little more settled. And that is a good thing for legitimate, viable cryptocurrency companies because predictability is good for business, period, point blank. Back in the Wild Wild West, you had a lot of scams, a lot of bad tokens, worthless tokens that are out there. And you had companies that had great ideas but didn't know how to put them in this kind of environment. And I'm going to tell you a story about that. So in 2021, I met a client, well, a potential client then, now a client, and they had a cryptocurrency that they want to do in the education space. So I joined their team. It was very initial. I was still kind of feeling things out, so there wasn't a lot of money in hand. But they had a full team. They were paying developers. They were paying marketers. I mean, they were just putting money out there. So the crypto crash, was going on, and they decided they were going to kind of put up shop, wait around for a minute, see what happens. 5 years later, and I stayed in touch with the CEO. We became friends. So 5 years later, they reach out to me, and they say, hey, listen, we're thinking now's a good time to reengage. I said, great, let's do it. So I asked them a question. I said, what about your blockchain or crypto has changed since 2021? And they said, nothing. It's perfect the way it was. We didn't need to change anything. I was like, okay. Let's approach it this way. Your entire business model was to put the crypto on an exchange and sell it and hope for an increase in value and profit. They said, yeah, that's it. I said, listen, that may work in 2021, but it's not going to work now. And since then, companies are reporting revenue. They're reporting on fundamentals. Investors are looking at more than just, hey, there's a new token on exchange selling for 0.0001 cents. Let's buy it, right? Now they're looking at what is behind the company. So since the education company, I said, why don't you look at creating some revenue in addition to your cryptocurrency? For example, bringing on schools or bringing on school systems. And they were like, that's a great idea, right? And then I was like, well, why not also bring in AI into this? Because I think the cryptocurrencies and the blockchains of the future are going to have two components, at least one, if not two. AI, and they're going to have to respond to quantum computing. So now their project that was just a cryptocurrency is now a full-blown company with fundamentals and with revenue, that we're planning. A new white paper we're writing because the old white paper is no longer relevant, right? And this is the kind of crypto company of the future. And this is the way things need to go in the future, because if you use the crypto model of the days of yore, when it was the Wild Wild West, you're going to find that you're not going to find as many, especially qualified and serious investors as you would back then, right? The long-term investors with serious money, the venture capitalists, the angel funders, the companies to partner with are more likely to partner with you when you come in with a revenue stream, when you come in with a business model, when you come in with integration of other emerging technologies, not just, hey, I got this crypto, right? That's where we're going, and a lot of that presentation is going to really address that point. So why do you think blockchain companies or projects fail? This is the interactive part. So give me some thoughts. Why do you think, or do you think they fail? Do you think cryptocurrency and blockchain projects fail? And if so, why? Yes, sir. Okay, not legitimate, things that aren't really real. Yes, sir. They use the token to fundraise, absolutely. Yes, sir, you than you. They can do it in an Excel spreadsheet. Why use a blockchain? In the back, sir. Okay, most businesses fail. I mean, it's a good, valid point. Sir. Bad treasury management, yes, sir. Not solving a real problem. Any other thoughts? Good. I mean, you guys hit most of the marks, right? Here's what, in a quick search, is what you find online. Forbes magazine, Fast Company, a lot of other major publications are putting out information since like 2019, I think it is, that blockchain companies are failing for a lot of the reasons that you guys stated. You know, and one of my favorites is a solution looking for a problem. A lot of clients come to me and they say, hey, I got this great idea for a blockchain and so on and so forth. And I say, well, great, what is it? And I'm waiting for like the next major Bitcoin or Ethereum, and they come in with this thing, and I'm like, so what problems does that solve? What solution does that bring to the world or society? What industry does that help? And sometimes they don't have an answer for me, right? So I always say to them, listen, you should go back and rethink what you're really trying to do with this crypto blockchain, because if you're doing it just to be an industry, or just to say you got a crypto or a blockchain, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, right? You're going to spend money, and you're going to lose money, and it's not going to go anywhere. So that's one of my favorites. Here's one I'll add that I haven't heard from any of you so far. A lot of crypto and blockchain products or enterprise solutions are vastly underfunded. Now, they think that what happened with Bitcoin, with the grassroots organization and that people are going to join and so on and so forth and volunteer assignment services is going to be how things go in the future. That was 20 years ago. That was 2008. It's 2026. 18 years later, this has become a $1 trillion asset class. Bitcoin itself is worth $1 trillion. Do you know how many $1 trillion assets have gone out of business after they become an asset class at that size? 0. Right? So now you have it's established, right? And the folks that would say, oh, it's a fad, it's a flash in a plan. Does 18 years, a whole generation, sound like a flash in a plan to you? Absolutely not. But you have to build a business model, you have to build a white paper, and you have to be funded. Now, at the Cogent Law Group, we have, a lot of attorneys that handle this stuff on a very regular basis. We are not the most expensive law firm out there. We're actually very affordable. And when I told them our rates and they said, well, we can't afford that, then my response is, you shouldn't be doing this. If you can afford a 10-figure legal fee, you got a lot more coming down your way, including compliance, including marketing, including hiring qualified developers or coders. So being underfunded is probably number 2 right after a solution looking for a problem. And I can tell you right now that when someone comes to me with that, I try and work with them, but it doesn't make sense to me to take their money when I know it's not going to go anywhere in the long run because they're not going to have the money to do anything else. So if you're working on a crypto or blockchain project, and I recently had a company approach me. They had a really, really clever idea for NFTs. So I got one of my coders on a call. We did a call. And we're like, yeah, you're going to need about $100,000 for this. And they're like, what? We're like, yeah, for what you want to do, for the kind of art you want to do, for the kind of intellectual property you're going to have to do, contracts with the celebrities and the influencers you want, it's going to be at least $100,000. They said, well, we don't have that. I said, well, I'll tell you what. Go out and fundraise. When you're ready, come back. Didn't say no. I gave them the working orders. And I keep in touch with them because you never know. It may happen, right? But honesty is the best policy from my perspective in terms of telling my potential clients what they need to succeed, right? So that's another one. And the other one is creating proper protocols, right? Bad protocols makes for bad blockchains. Bad smart contract code makes for bad smart contracts. Sir? Technical. Right? Are you ordering your smart contracts and your protocols? Are you using the right ones? And half of them say, well, we're decentralized. Are you really decentralized, though? I mean, look at it this way. No one knows who created Bitcoin, me, Satoshi Nakamoto, yada. But there's extremely few actual decentralized blockchains out there. Most of them are hybrid or even central in the centralized clothing. But be honest about it. you're not really decentralized. If you're pulling income, if you're hiring a staff, if they can approach you and say, you are the owner of this blockchain, you ain't decentralized. So be honest about it, because the investors are going to call you out. A good investor with knowledge in this area is going to say, you're not really decentralized. You're really either hybrid at best or get centralized, but you're using that moniker to appeal to the blockchain community. 18 years later, that does not work anymore. So how do we go from here? Where do we go from everything I just said? From the lack of funding, from the protocol issues, from the solution in search of a problem, from a lot of the other ideas that you guys gave that are reason why blockchains fail. You get with the right community. You get with the right people. You get with the right organizations to help you through this process, like Maryland Blockchain Association, like BLI, like the Coach and Law Group, like Government Blockchain Association, and you get with them because they can help you with what you need to do. Community is still very big in the blockchain world, right? It's been my understanding, my impression, that we are eager to help each other out, to help each other succeed. That's how we got here this far. I mean, it started grassroots, right? Didn't start from the top. It started from the grassroots. Now, when the top, some money coming in, the top jumped in real quick, and they started investing. You have JP Morgan, you have ETFs, you have, money flowing in the billions, almost on a daily basis into this technology, right? So the top is in, but it started from the grassroots. And the grassroots is still where magic can happen. It's still where you can see progress being made almost on a daily basis. So get with people, network with them, like the people in this room, right? And then follow up. I can't tell you how many times I've had talks with somebody and they say, we want to use you as a lawyer, so on and so forth. I said, great, reach out to me. And I'll even say, hey, just following up with you on your project, how's it going, right? So either they found another lawyer, which is perfectly fine, or they weren't serious in the first place. A lot of folks come to these conferences and they just talking and talking and talking, but they're not doing and doing and doing. This space needs doers, like the people in this room, right? So do all these things, network, follow up, and realize the company you're with, because you never know who's in the room that can help you out, right? I do this, I'm going off script here for a second. I do this thing called super networking. And, when I have like a room full of people and like we do here, and we have different things that are needed, I ask them, I said, well, listen, how many, I'm going to ask you guys, how many of you are looking for funding? Raise your hand. All right, so we got a few of us looking for funding, right? So look around. Those are people that need funding. How many of you are looking for employees or coders? Raise your hand. Okay, we got a couple there, right? How many of you are looking for people to expose your brand or your marketing reach? Raise your hand. Right, we got a few there, right? So in this room, we have folks that need things, and then how many of you are looking for a lawyer? Raise your hand. What? No one raised a hand? But my point is that in this room, we have people that need things. And there could be other people in this room that can provide the things that those people need, but you guys saw the hands go up. You guys should connect. And that will be part of this paradigm, to realize, to follow up, and to network. So here's where we get to where we are today. What's our time check here? I think I got a good amount of time. Okay. One of the things that we're offering at the Maryland Blockchain Association is a CLE training, for attorneys to be able to get credit for their legal licenses in their states. But it's my idea that we expand it past the CLE. It couldn't be a CLE for other attorneys that are still, attending, but since there's no lawyers in this room right now, we may discuss that tomorrow or Wednesday, but it's still really, really valid information that any business owner can use. Let me tell you why. Do you know that blockchain companies or investor companies, 401ks, IRAs, mutual funds, they have teams of people out there doing research on blockchain companies and cryptocurrencies, deciding who to fund, who not to fund, who to buy, who not to buy, right? They have protocols, not technology protocols, investment protocols on how to decide who to invest with. Well, what if I told you that you don't have those resources unless you happen to be one of those firms as an individual, but you can get it? Shameless plug, it's in chapter 4 of my book, right? But I could also bring the information to you in a training session, and we can talk about it. We can talk about what makes a crypto investable, what makes it non-investable. I will never advise you on which crypto to invest in, but I will tell you how to do it. And I will also tell you, as someone said scams when I asked one of the original questions, another quick story. And I have a whole chapter on scams. That's how important it is to me to get the information out there to the people that are reading the book. Because I don't want anyone that reads my book to say, gosh, I didn't know, I've been scammed. So I have a potential client of mine, it's overseas, but he has a base here in the US as well. And he wanted to invest in this coin. So I'm on the phone with him and his CTO. And he goes, Eric, I want to invest in this coin. I really like it, so on and so forth. It's going to be great. I said, great, send it over to me. So he sends me the link on the Zoom. And I go on the website, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, all right. So he goes, listen, just download the wallet, and let's see what you think. And I was like, wait, what now? Time out, what? Download the wallet? I didn't know these people. I'm not downloading nothing. So a CTO said, I'll download it. I said, go ahead. You download it. Be my guest. So he downloads the wallet. And after I'm done looking at the site and I'm looking at their quote-unquote white paper, I said, guys, listen, this crypto makes no sense to me. I don't understand the business model. The information does not give me a problem solution paradigm. It's like it just gives me statements about things that really have no value to me from a legal, business, societal sense. So I said, I advise you not to buy it. And I said, and I advise you to delete that wallet. Well, they're like, well, we really like it. I mean, the website was flashy, it was splashy, with all that stuff. Well, about a month later, we're on another call, and he's all down and depressed. He goes, Eric, man, you were right. I was like, right about what? I mean, I'm just hearing that, so I want to make sure I know what I'm right about. He goes, I invested in that crypto, and it was a scam. I lost all my money. I was like, how much did you invest? He said, I invested 6 figures. Then, but wait, there's more. Then he goes, but that's not really what bothers me. I was like, that doesn't bother you? Jesus Christ. It must be nice being you. He goes, what bothers me is that I told all my friends and people that I knew to invest, and they did it as well, and they lost all their money. That's why he was so down. I said, why? I told you, don't do it. I told you it made no sense. I told you this was, just something that would not do well. And he said, but I just liked the way it looked. Right? Those are the kinds of things that I show you. Oh, an epilogue. Same guy. He came to me with this other coin. And I was like, dude, don't do it. I said, don't do it. Then he did it. And he calls me about 2 weeks later. He goes, Eric, man, you were right. I was like, don't tell me you invested in that coin. And he goes, yeah, I thought it was going to make a lot of money. And I wanted to make a lot of money to pay your fee. I said, I'm not that expensive. You don't need 6 figures to pay me. But he was looking to get quick money. So as a result, he lost on 2 coins. So this chapter that I'm talking about with scams, talks about scams, worthless coins, bad coins, et cetera, et cetera. But so the 2 sides of that quote-unquote coin is I show you how to invest in good blockchain crypto companies, and I show you how to avoid bad ones, right? So this is why this is up here. This all kind of leads up to this slide right here. These were the topics that we were going to be doing for a week-long course with in this boot camp with Maryland Blockchain Association. But we decided that that may have been a little too much. So we scaled it back to 2 days. So this is where, and actually there's more topics than these. If you go on the website, you'll see about another, I think, 9 or 10 more. These are kind of the exercises. So a lot of it's heavily legal, but the first one, introduction to blockchain technology, I mean, I think everyone in this room is probably fairly versed in that, so we don't have to go into that. But SEC, CFTC, Justice, IRS, legal issues with scams, all those are topics that may be of interest to, any of you that want to learn some more. So what I propose is this. If there's topics that you want to learn about, we can make this an a la carte kind of thing, right? And if you guys say, hey, Eric, listen, enough of us are interested in this topic, then I can talk with Jack and we can put something together, whether it's in person this week or virtual, right? This is the first time I'm ever doing this, and I'm doing it because why? Because I'm not creating a solution in search of a problem. I'm giving you guys now the power to pick what you want to learn about. And if we get a critical mass, then we can do it, right? It's not just, hey, this is the class. Whether you like it or not, take these topics. No, I'm doing exactly what I said the other companies should be doing. If there is a problem on this screen that you want to address in your blockchain company or cryptocurrency offering, or if you want to learn more about it to start one, or let me tell you one of the magics of this class, which is the class exercises. So it's, just like here and very interactive, the class exercises is where I give you guys projects to do, and you guys do them, and you come back and report out on them. And I can tell you that, and I've been doing that for years, and I can tell you there's a number of clients that actually became clients after the class because during the class, they created a blockchain enterprise solution that then pivoted to becoming an actual blockchain enterprise solution from the class because of the exercises and the end result. So that's really one of the secret sources of this class. But that's the 5-day. I can figure out how to do it in the 1 or 2-day. I have that kind of ability, right? But it's up to you what you guys want to do. So I'm going to pause here for a minute and see if there's any questions for me. I even got a runner mic if we need it. Yes, sir. My biggest success, and that's an excellent question. Well, so I try not to brag, quote unquote. So that being said, I'd say the biggest success that I've had so far. I'll give you one that's happening. I'll start with the one that's happening first because it's actually in motion. Real world assets. You guys know what those are? Everybody? Okay. I had the idea to take real world assets, attach them to a specific kind of, I can't say the real world asset, and bring it to countries outside of the US because they have the ability to sell what they're doing from their country to a global market, which otherwise they wouldn't have been able to do, right? So I'm in talks with 3 countries right now to really get that off the ground, and that's looking extremely well, okay? So that's that one. Probably my best class was when I had this father and son team, and they had there's 2. One of them had a lot of ties to India, and they wanted to do a blockchain enterprise solution that researched and provided recommendations for traffic solutions in India. Because I don't know if you guys have been to India, but woof. I've been there twice, both to New Delhi. And all you hear is beep, 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 beep the entire time. So the client I was there with, he would always make fun. He goes, that's Mr. Gupta. Because always, beep, beep, hey, Mr. Gupta, how's it going? So that's literally what he would say. So the traffic solutions in India were really, really not happening. And so in the class, we took their traffic solution blockchain, we marked it up, we went through the process, they presented it, and I understand that they took it to the Indian government and they presented it, and I heard they got a small contract out of it. I haven't followed up since then, but this is going back like 5 or 6 years. The other one deals with the environment. So you guys know what carbon credits are? So this company, I think I can say the name, Blue Ocean Futures, they created a blockchain carbon credit blockchain enterprise solution. And at first it was not as clear to use, and carbon credits are complicated. They're really complicated because each country gets their own different ones, different pricing, different valuations, so on and so forth. Planting mangrove trees and so forth gives you credits, et cetera, dealing with waste different ways. It's a really, really complicated process. But after going through probably the class in about a year or two, they've actually created a blockchain enterprise solution. And so they signed international deals with that. So those are probably the two that come to mind that are on that like a global international scale. There's some smaller ones that that have taken place, and but I think those probably were the two that will probably best answer your question. So thank you, I appreciate that question. Any other questions? Any deals with? I'm sorry, repeat that. Oh, have I ever? So RWAs, real world assets. So here's the good part about real world assets. For those of you that you say you know about it, but just to make sure we're on the same page. Real world assets, kind of stable coiny because it's backed by something, but it's not really a stable coin because it's usually stable coins are backed by either a commodity or financial instrument. I mean, some are backed by actually like Ethereum and Bitcoin. I don't agree with crypto back, and I agree even less with algorithmic back stable coins. That's just a crypto, right? But to your point, houses, cars, commodities, whatever is a real world asset that has value cannot be tokenized and can be used in the DeFi or TradeFi market, right? So what are the legal issues with that? Well, the first legal issue, it depends on the country that you're in terms of, what are the legal requirements for them to be able to legitimately create a RWA. The second is the ownership of the actual asset. I mean, you have to really own the asset to be able to tokenize it. You can't just, tokenize anything you want. The third thing is, how do you ensure that the asset is going to be there to be able to withstand a downturn, or, if you tokenize a house and you sell the house, the token is now worthless, right? So is it insurance? Is it a long-term contract? How do you ensure that you're selling a token? I mean, because think about it this way. Someone can say, I'm making a real-world asset token off of, whatever it is. And they put it out there to make money off of this asset, and then they sell the asset. So what happens to the token? As soon as people find out that token is now assetless, that token becomes worthless, right? So you have to be able to create a legal structure that guarantees the long-term viability of that asset attached to the token to be credible and to be legally compliant. Although there are no laws in it right now, at least some that I know of, because RWAs are fairly new to the blockchain world. I mean, cryptos go back 18 years. RWAs, 2 or 3, right? And it always takes courts and legislatures about 5 to 7 years to catch up. They still haven't caught up with NFTs, in my opinion. NFTs is still like a gray wild card in the token space, and they've been around since Quantum was about 2014. I think quantum, which is what arguably is the first, which is actually in my book, with the first NFT, even though it wasn't called an NFT back then, right? So they haven't caught up yet. But that doesn't mean that it can't be used, it can't be beneficial, especially the countries that don't have the same type of access to global markets like some of the G7 or G20s do. So to answer your question in a kind of long and convoluted way, there are legal requirements that are happening with RWAs, but it's not settled yet. It's not settled. But, I mean, with the RWAs that I'm working on, you know, I'm making sure that the asset has longevity. Because if it's not, it's just a crypto with a different name. But thank you. It's a great question. Any other questions for me? Mr. Cooper. So, excellent question. I have it. I'll start with one word answer, and then we'll build from there. We'll unpack it from there. Insurance, right? Every house is required to have insurance to get a mortgage, to keep the mortgage. If your insurance is gone, guess what? Mortgage company is going to call you and be like, we got a problem, right? So the insurance is one of the asset-backed protectors of, you know, that asset being able to survive some type of natural disaster or of some type of other calamity, right? So what does that mean? That means that maybe in your real-world asset contract, you include the insurance information or the fact that it's insured, and you guarantee that it's insured in the real-world asset, you know, legal document. So the person that's buying the assets, or the companies or the investors that do the research, because they should be doing the research, they can say, oh, I'm buying a asset that is backed by this house, and the house is backed by insurance. And if you look at the Genius Act requires you know, T-bills, insurance company policies, all that to be backed by insurance anyway, right? So we have precedent for insurance being a protector for a real-world asset to be used properly, you know. So just make sure that, and if your real-world asset is something that's not as insurable as a house, if it's something else, you know, my argument would be to buy insurance on the asset to make sure that you're presenting a viable product. So if a regulator ever comes to you, you can say, hey, listen, this asset is real. I've even got insurance backed. So, I mean, I think if I was a regulator, I'd be like, okay, well, that's an excellent point. So, does that answer your question? Appreciate you. Sir. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And make an RWA work in that, why would it be preferential over a stock certificate?
I didn't say it would be. I mean, if it's an asset, it can be used. I think the preference is in the eyes of the beholder, to use a old term and kind of repurpose it, right? So a diamond mine was probably be more challenged to do a real world asset than a stock certificate, because you can do a one-for-one token to certificate, right? Or you can do it. Yeah, you could, exactly. You could do a 10-to-1. Or even a REIT, right? So it's easier for you because that's more quantifiable, right? To quantify a diamond mine is a little more challenging, right? So how many diamonds are in there? How much is it worth? How often do you pull out diamonds? What's the quality of your diamonds? All those could be factors in terms of whether or not, well, how the real world asset is valued. When would I not create it? Right. So my first is when an asset is either temporary or not long-term or not viable, right? That's the first one. The second one is where value is way too difficult to ascertain, right? So, for example, a new and up-and-coming artist makes his fantastic paintings. His paintings are going like gangbusters, so on and so forth, but it's not, huh? Well, yeah, exactly, right? So, but the value of the art is very speculative, right? So if I can't appraise the asset for real value, I would not recommend doing a real world asset because basically, like you said, it's essentially an NFT. Because don't forget, in RWA, you don't own the asset. You're buying a token associated with the asset, just like the vast majority of NFTs. By the way, which is in the book, I highly recommend not buying NFTs. Now, there's folks I know that trade on the NFT market. More power to them, and they make money doing it. More power to them, but I mean, I'm a long-term guy, at least mid to long-term, and I trade on value, quantifiable value, not meme coins or NFTs or things of that nature. So it's all about your investment preference.
So just a follow-on question. So can I have preferential RWA like stock? So I get paid back if there's a fire on my allocation before you, or is RWA?
So like a preferred stock versus a common stock. Excellent question. I have not seen that yet. Doesn't mean that it can't be created, right? I mean, as long as it's a structure that again is quantifiable, it could be the value could be attached to it. So of course, the way stocks work, those are more expensive, and they're fewer in the marketplace, right? But it's definitely a viable option. So you guys hear that? If you guys looking, no, okay. Any more questions? But great questions, guys. Keep them coming. I see your head smoking like you want to ask a question. So a dual model for real-world assets where one's attached to the treasury and the other's attached to the actual asset. Interesting. So again, anything is possible in this technology, right? What I'd say to that is you're using the treasury as another form of insurance or backing of the actual asset. Yeah, that's another form of insurance, basically, right? So you don't need to do a two-tier model. You can just make that all one tier. You can say that your RWA is tied to this asset, which is backed by treasury bills. Boom, Bob's your uncle. So once you go two-tier, you may begin to lose people, right? I mean, yeah. Listen, this technology is exactly. I was giving a speech in Atlanta in March. That was actually one of my first book signings, and I had a lot of new folks that coming in to the class or to the speech and the presentation, and people asking me about blockchain technology, how it works, and so forth. So I gave them a lot of my my layman's terms stories and layman's terms descriptions and scenarios. But I said, listen, there's two things you should realize here. The first thing is, one of the things that people come to me and they say is that, but Eric, I just don't understand blockchain technology. I said, okay, all right. So what do you do? Well, I'm an engineer. So did you understand engineering before you studied it? What do you do? I'm a doctor. Did you understand how to be a doctor before you studied it? What do you do? I'm an architect. Did you understand architecting before you studied it? No, it's not going to magically warp into your brain. You got to study it, just like I did, just like all of you did, right? But in society now, everything is so much like has to be done right away, right? And this is the story that I told them. Well, this is not a story, but the example I gave. No one has ever come to me and said, I don't understand AI. You know why? AI is so freaking easy to use. You plug it in, just like you would do a URL on a search engine, and it acts very similar. You don't have to download wallets. Back in the day, you had to go to MetaMask and download MetaMask and then download some other wallet to be able to buy coin. You didn't have to go to swapping sites or cryptos or private keys, public keys, all these other, no, SHA-256. You don't need all that. AI, you just type into, and now they have agents, and now they have bots, all that stuff, which is a little more complicated, but still not as complicated as blockchain technology can be. So simplifying it, and that's, by the way, let me go way back to the beginning of our presentation. Another one of the problems that blockchain companies have is that they create really bad interface. They need to create a system for good user adoption and an even better user interface. Because if you can't, I tell my clients, all my clients this, if you can't pull out your wallet, especially if you're B2C, if you can't pull out your cell phone and have an app that allows you to swipe, and do something, then guess what? You've lost half of the world right there. Probably more than that. User adoption, unit interface, extremely critical in creating a successful blockchain enterprise solution. So I tell them, you better build an app money, and you better build on user experience exchange money, because if you don't, you're not going to work. It's not going to work out. Anyway, how are we doing? How are we on time? Any more questions? 7 minutes. Oh, good deal. One last question before we wrap up. Is anyone interested? Yes, question? Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm gonna do the final discussion, but.
So 2 words, maybe even 3. What's your opinion on AI and blockchain together as a legal thing, as a application, as a solution?
That's 3 words. Did you guys? Like I told one of my most recent clients, and now I'm going to tell every client from this going forward, assuming that their model can have AI adds value, is to bring AI into whatever solution I'm creating for them. Whether it's, in terms of being part of their team to build it, or the legal team to make compliance and do our regulations and filings, because it's just the future. It's just the future. And, I also encourage them to do quantum-resistant cryptos, quantum-resistant blockchains. Because the harvest now, decrypt later thing, it's real, y'all. It's real. And if you guys know what that is? Harvest now, decrypt later? I'm seeing some blank stares. I'm going to say it real quickly. Bad actors all over the world are harvesting your data right now. And I don't want to sound alarmist, but trust me, it's happening right now. They're harvesting your data. They're harvesting your usernames. They're harvesting your public keys, and so on and so forth. They're getting the other stuff. They just know how to decrypt it yet. But when quantum computing becomes a affordable thing, 5, 7, 10 years from now, they're going to take all that data they collected and they're going to decrypt it. And then they're going to go back and be bad people against all of you and all of me. So what do? Well, if you're an individual, you change your passwords as often as you can. If you're an individual, you diversify your portfolios as much as you can. If you're an individual, you move things offline into hard wallets or paper wallets, because you can't hack a paper wallet. I mean, you can lose it, but you can't hack it, right? The minute you plug in that hard wallet online, it becomes active. It can get it, but it's better to be plugged in for a minute than plugged in forever with an online wallet. That's what harvest now, decrypt later does. It's a real threat. So for the AI portion, I would say that I absolutely advise my clients, especially like the one I just told you about, it is something that should be in every crypto going forward. And there's cryptos that have been doing it for years now. There's cryptos, I could think of at least 10 that, you know, and they were in the book, that are blockchain AI cryptos. So they're leading the way. But so far, no one's hit that magic key. No one has really made it such as like, that is what we need, like Bitcoin and Ethereum did back in the day. That's what we're waiting on. I mean, I liken Bitcoin to like, to beta max. Someone's gonna take it down. Bitcoin, it's not gonna last forever. So there's gonna be a crypto that's gonna come along with a better model and better user interface, and it's gonna take Bitcoin down. The question is who? The question is when. Is it gonna be you, Ryan? What question?
Similar to how engineers have the IEEE, I'm not sure what it stands for, but it's basically the standard. They all agree on a major change
Yeah.
before it's rolled out globally.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that in Web3
Yeah.
to ensure to that last?
Yeah, like I think Hedra hash graph is. That's my cue. All right. So yes, so that is crypto companies, and I actually look for that, right? When I look for a crypto company, so thank you everybody. If you want to talk to me about training, come to me afterwards, and I have books too.